Mr. Chairman, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, everyone, and thank you again for being here. As operations continue, I remain deeply grateful for the service and determination of 2.8 million members of our joint force, each of whom are serving something greater than themselves. Every day, those deployed, and in many cases, those at home who are deploying forward and bomber pulses and others, put themselves in harm's way, and we owe them a deep debt of gratitude. I remain especially grateful for our fallen who gave the ultimate sacrifice. We'll never forget their valor and their determination to do something greater than themselves. And each day we continue to earn what they've given to us. This morning I want to share that yesterday the Joint Force had the honor of participating in the burial of Colonel Clarence Emil Bud Anderson, who passed away in May of 2024 at the ripe old age of 102. He was laid to rest in Arlington Cemetery yesterday morning alongside his wife of 70 years, Eleanor, who he married on February 23rd, 1945. She passed away in 2015 at the age of 92. Bud, yesterday, a legend to our Air Force and fighter pilots everywhere, was honored with a combination flyby of F-35s and a four-ship of P-51 Mustangs. He was one of the most prolific flying aces of World War II and the highest scoring P-51 ace with 16 and a quarter kills in his squadron and in his group. And he served from 1942 to 1972, and his last combat tour was flying F-104 Thunder Chiefs over North Vietnam. For anyone that had the chance to meet Colonel Anderson, you knew what an incredibly special man he was. And that's true for each and every one of our World War II vets who become fewer and fewer with each passing day. They are the greatest generation and give us the gift of an incredible example as we execute Operation Epic Fury today. And Colonel Anderson, we mourn for your loss and remember that smile on the right side as you went out to do our nation's business. I'd like to now share an operational update. Our Joint Force continues to focus on our military objectives as we systematically continue to degrade and destroy Iran's ability to project power and threaten stability beyond its borders. First, the Joint Force continues to destroy Iran's ballistic missile and UAS capabilities. We remain focused on interdicting and destroying the logistical and supply chains that feed these programs. And this remains a truly joint effort prosecuted around the clock from air, land, sea, space, and cyberspace. Long-range bombers from U.S. Strategic Command are coordinating with tactical fighter aircraft from our Joint Force launched from bases around the region and the continental United States, while simultaneously Navy fighters from the sea and sailors continue to project power from the sea, while Army and Marine artillery units continue to execute long-range precision fires deep into enemy territory against high-value targets. Meanwhile, on the defense side, our Army and air defenders and aviators, as the Secretary talked about, remain vigilant, forming a shield to protect our forces and our partners, intercepting missiles and drones. Together, we continue to deliver precision strikes against key manufacturing nodes, component storage sites, research facilities deep within Iranian territory. And over the past 30 days, we've struck more than 11,000 targets. Given the increase in air superiority, we've successfully started to conduct the first overland B-52 missions, which allow us, as we've said before, to continue to get on top of the enemy. And as the Secretary talked about, switch towards more and more dynamic targets, servicing mobile targets around the battle space. We've continued to do the work against Iran's missile, drone, and naval production facilities, and we continue the multi-domain pressure that we've talked about. Second, on the Navy front, we continue to assert dominance over the Iranian Navy. We remain focused on targeting their mine-laying capability, their naval assets, and we've now, as I mentioned briefly last time, started to work attack helicopters and other close air support assets into the naval domain. CENTCOM continues to identify and work against naval depots and storage areas, and we've taken out, again, more than 150 ships, including all Jamaran-class frigates inside their Navy. Third, we continue to prosecute our campaign against our defense industrial base at scale. This includes factories, warehouses, nuclear weapons research and development labs, and the associated infrastructure required for Iran to reconstitute its combat capability. I'd like to continue my theme of highlighting the incredible contributions of Americans to our joint force. Today, I want to talk a little bit about a different front line, a line that doesn't have bunkers or guard posts, but is just as critical to our nation's security, our National Assembly lines. Today, I want to recognize a group of Americans who live at the beginning of our nation's combat power, the Americans who actually make our weapons, both inside our defense industrial base, but even more broadly inside our national industrial base. In every military option, we could not and cannot do our jobs without the men and women across our country who show up every day around the clock to a factory floor, a workshop, a laboratory, who build the weapons and capabilities we need to project American combat power at the time and place of our choosing. These great Americans, and I've had a chance to spend some time with them when I was in the private sector, are the core of American combat power. They're the machinists running high-tech CNC machines, cutting raw blocks of metal into incredibly precise parts. They're the assembly workers painstakingly taking a kit of parts and turning that into a complex guidance system or precision munition or a rocket motor or building a jet or submarine. Or they're quality assurance technicians who ensure that when a warfighter pulls a trigger, the weapon works every time. This can be and is tough and gritty work. It's not a quiet office and a desk with paper, and there's nothing wrong with that, but this is exactly the way this group of Americans likes it. I know this. I've seen it myself, and I remain deeply honored by that gift. It's often loud and dangerous work, demanding, requires absolute focus for hours at a time with deep commitment to get it right every single time. It's hands-on work where one uncaught mistake or deviation can put an American's life at risk. A single misplaced wire, a microscopic flaw in a weld, incorrectly calibrated sensor could mean the difference between mission success or mission failure. The difference is measured in the lives of our sons and daughters who we put out around the field and on the field of battle. We rely on and trust in these great Americans, and it's not just their manufacturing skill, it's their innovative minds and their entrepreneurial spirit. From those who build exquisite capabilities down to the mom and pop machine shops all over this great country, they live at the beginning of and the core of America's combat capability, constantly adapting, constantly improving, constantly learning. And there are examples of this throughout history and current days, to include building things like the F-117 stealth fighter, the B-2 stealth bomber, making our combat capability undetectable over the enemy, to today's B-21 and F-47. It's work like in the shipyards of the East Coast and Northeast side of the United States that go out and build America's nuclear submarines that allow us to patrol around the world at the time and place of our choosing. These innovators, these workers, these incredible Americans don't get the same glory as a fighter pilot returning to a carrier deck at night or an artilleryman sending rounds downrange, and yet they show up every single day, and without them, we could not do the work that we are tasked to do. 24/7, they build the tools that we need to do our business. The skill, the commitment, the patriotism, the dedication poured into every piece of combat capability and hardware is seen and felt out at the edge of the force, as the Secretary talked about those young bomb builders out in the desert that he had the chance to see. You can see it, you can feel it, and it's real, and we're deeply grateful. So to the American workforce out there, both inside our defense industrial base and in our national industrial base, Thank you on behalf of the Joint Force. We carry the weapons that you build. We rely on the systems that you create, and the distance from that factory floor and that assembly line to the front line is incredibly short. Thank you. Keep it up. And to our adversaries out there, I remind you to beware of the American workforce. We continue to press forward in our military objectives. The Secretary and I remain deeply humbled by the spirit, tenacity, commitment, and grit of our 2.8 million member strong joint force. I want to, as always, thank the force and their families, and as always, remember our fallen. We carry with them and their names every day. Sir, I'll turn it back over to you.